Welcome to Echoes of Enlightenment, where we talk about spirituality, life lessons, and overall self-development. In today's episode, we'll be discussing the concept of an old soul. I wanted to talk about the concept of an old soul and my take on the meaning of that. We've all heard somebody say, that person has an old soul. And what sparked the topic was I was in the sauna earlier. After the gym, I was sitting in the sauna and I was just kind of scrolling on Instagram and a video popped up. And it was a newborn baby, but the face that the baby had looked like kind of an older person, like an older man. And the baby wasn't crying. And it also was just kind of looking around, like almost like it's been here before, like the baby's been here before. Just kind of just chilling. Baby was just chilling and looking around, and the baby looked kind of old. And I said, let me look at the comments. Let me see if other people are, see what they're saying about that. Because the baby looks like it's been here. This is not his first time here on earth. And then, just scrolling, some people were laughing or, and other people were like, yeah, the baby looks like this is not his first time here. Or a wise old soul, it's been here before. Just different comments. I was like, okay, well, now we're talking about an old soul. And then I started thinking, I was like, I wonder if I have an old soul. And I think I do, because I've had these thoughts before. I'm like, how do I know some of the stuff I know? I know stuff that I've, acquired over the years, just being here on earth. I've learned a lot then, but there's also stuff that I know. But if you ask me how I know, I would say, I don't know how I know. It's just things you know. And that could be some things from a past life, information that I acquired. Maybe this is not my first time here. So I thought about, just because a kid is younger than an adult doesn't mean that the kid is not as wise or smart as the adult. Because what if the adult is 85 years old, we'll say 85, to where, the person has gained a lot of experience and knowledge. But what if it's their first time around, first time here on earth? But the kid is 2, or, or even a newborn, like the kid I was just talking about, the baby I was just talking about. But it's its 9th time coming here. So the kid has 9 lifetimes of knowledge, but we don't know that yet. And the adult just has 1, because this is their first time. But we look up to the adult, the elder, and we're like, tell us how tell us what you've learned. They've learned a lot of stuff, but they might not know as much as the kid, because they're starting again. Here's another lifetime. They're on their 10th now, or 9th, whatever. And the reason why I say that is because, think about it. Sometimes somebody's like, my kid started playing Beethoven at 3. And everybody's like, oh, that's so crazy. They think that could be something that just triggered them to learn how to play that. They just picked it up now, this lifetime, while they're watching them play the piano, playing all these the hardest songs a lot of adults don't even know how to play, but they could do it. But nobody ever thinks that maybe 3 lifetimes ago, or the last lifetime, they were a professional pianist or one of the best pianists, but they're starting their life again. They've already died before, and they just be, reincarnated back again. And that's something that they remembered from a lifetime ago. That's how they're so good at playing the piano or anything, whatever somebody's good at when they're super young and it's not even that much time to even practice to get that good. Or even if they were 13 and they're playing like all this crazy stuff, that's still really not enough time to master something like that. We'll call it like, a savant, or we'll call it, somebody like a savant or just something. We got a name for it for us to be able to understand it now, because it's so bizarre how they know how to do this right now. But we never think that could just been one of their talents that they were good at in a different lifetime. What if they had 3 lifetimes of playing piano? That's why they're so good when they're 3 years old, when they're able to move their body well enough to be able to press the keys, play the keys. Because we don't know that in the beginning. Nobody really knows how long you've been here in the beginning, because one can't, when you're a baby, you can't really talk. And then on top of it, you're being taught a lot of stuff. So you don't really remember anything from a past lifetime really right away, because we're bombarded with just things that we need to learn here on this earth this time around. Because say you lived to 96 in your lifetime before. Things have changed now. So we have to learn stuff now to be able to communicate with, to be able to operate on earth now. So that's why we learn a lot of that's why we need to, learn stuff on this go around now, because things have changed. We're not doing the same things we did 100 years ago. Things change. So that's why we're constantly getting taught things. But one thing that we're not getting taught is like spirituality, like the other side of things. So that's why it takes so long for us to remember who we might have been and where we came from before we got to Earth. There's nobody like sparking that and nobody helping us to look back. You have no clue that was even a part. It's almost like you're starting new. And you really don't even remember anything about like past lifetimes or ancient wisdom from lifetimes until you have a spiritual awakening. That's when things open up. That's when the veil is lifted and you're like looking around, because now you kind of remember. That's some of the stuff I talk about, that how do I know some of this stuff? It's stuff that I learned in a past lifetime that's coming to me now, but I'm not all the way back in that lifetime. So it's kind of hard for me to remember where I learned that from. It's almost like an amnesia. You don't remember, and it takes a while. And it's usually after a spiritual awakening when you really start getting information. But I also think through life, through just, the life we're living right now, you get bits and pieces of your past life. Like right now, a lot of us is like, well, what is our purpose? We have to find our purpose. I'm sure we had a purpose. We just can't remember it right now. And then once you find your purpose for being here, then you feel fulfilled. You're like, oh, I'm fulfilled. I found my purpose. But the feeling I would get was like, I know there's something I should be doing here. but I can't remember what it is. I can't remember what it is. And it's almost like, and it's not like this all the time, but it's like, have you ever been worried about something and you don't even know what you're worried about? It's like, I'm worried, but why do I have this anxious feeling, but I don't even know why I'm anxious? That's what it feels like until you find your purpose, because you're supposed to be here and you're trying all these different things, kind of just exploring. And all that is you trying to remember who you were before you got here. Think about how amnesia must feel. You don't remember your favorite foods. There's a lot of things you don't remember, and it's frustrating because you can't put your finger on it. But once you have a spiritual awakening, then a lot of stuff starts coming back. So that's kind of where the old soul comes from. It's like, why are you so young, but you're so wise? They're like, you got an old soul, but nobody looks deeper into it and like dissect it and try to figure out like why. I mean, how would somebody know all this, and how can somebody play the piano so well and they're 4 years old? And then there's some hints too when somebody's like, oh, that's me in that picture. I remember that house, and the kid is 6 years old. I remember that house. And you're like, how did you know that house? I mean, it could be somebody returning again, a family member returning again. You don't know how many times they've been here, but they can reincarnate. That's how they remember that stuff. Because, I mean, how else would they know? And how do they know details that only an adult or your grandmother told you about, but they know? So that could be what a old soul is. And a lot of times I talk about how Earth is just a school, where we learn stuff. And I think a lot of people come back because, you can't really learn everything in a lifetime, especially, when it's your first time. You're not really you don't even know that you're here to learn lessons. So you're not even trying to learn lessons. You're just exploring this place because it's exciting. It's almost like if you go to Hawaii the first time, you're just going to have fun, but you didn't know you're supposed to be learning things in Hawaii. But if you go to Hawaii, if it's your 5th time or your 6th time, you're not going to be doing all of the excursions and, the paragliding or whatever you do. You're probably just going just to lay on the beach and read a book. You might even not even go to the beach. You might just go to the pool and just look at the beach from the pool. It's not going to be the exact same time because you've done it. You've done it all. It's going to be 2 different experiences. So I think when you come back for the however many, time, say the 8th time, back to Earth again, your soul returns again. Some people are just only, they're more serious about this. They're like, oh, I've already done that. I've been there and done that. So now I'm trying to do something else. I'm living and they could be young. They're like, oh, I don't really like to party. I don't really like to, because they've partied a lot in their lifetime. They're trying to find out something else. And then there's some people that party when they're 55 and hasn't slowed down because it could be their very first time here. So they're not really worried about the lessons yet. And they might not even know that they're supposed to be learning lessons. So what else? Another thing that could probably happen is some people that keep returning back to Earth, that become like spiritual teachers or something like that, some type of a teacher. They might choose to come back after they've already learned all the lessons. Maybe they didn't have to come back because, like I say, if Earth is a school and we're here to learn our lessons, maybe people are coming back, 8 and 9 times as teachers. It's just like when you graduate elementary, you finish elementary, then you finish middle school, then high school, then college. And then some people are like, all right, after college, I'm not ever going back to, school. They might even stay in college a little longer, just to get more information, to learn more. And then some people are like, as soon as I finish, I'm done. I'm not going back. I'm tired of it. But then there's some people that go back and teach at colleges or different schools. They choose to go back to school. And that's why some of these people are, wise and are teachers. Then you might say, well, why don't you start teaching from like an early age if you chose to come back to teach? It's because you don't remember. You don't remember why you're here. There's nobody to help us to look back. You almost have to wait for that awakening. For the awakening to happen, to realize, or let me stop that. Why would you choose to come back? Because I think it's a choice to keep coming back after you've learned. There's a point where you graduate and you don't have to keep coming back to learn lessons. You can move on. We don't know where we move on to. It could be, but you can also come back. And some people be like, well, why would you choose to come back? Because after you graduate, after you move on, you feel like you have a lot of information. You feel like a professional. After you've graduated school, you feel like a professional. You feel like you're confident. This is like after Earth. And your soul is like, I know everything I need to know. And I'm confident right now. But when I go back to Earth. I'll go back to Earth. And then I'll teach. But when you get back to Earth, you don't remember who you were in the past life. It's almost like you're an MMA fighter. You're the champion. You're the champion. And you're like, all right, well, I'm going to go back and I'm going to go get in the ring. And then you get in the ring, you don't remember any of your moves, any of your skills. You're about to fight the top guy, but you stepped in the ring and you don't remember that you even know that you were a fighter. That's the frustrating part, because now you have to wait again, like you don't even know, like we don't even know that we might have been here for a while until we have an awakening. And then we begin to remember who we were. And for example, it's like, saying it's an adult, they're like, I was riding a horse and I fell off my horse and hit my head. We've heard those stories. Somebody falls off of something, and they hit their head and then they wake up and now they know how to speak French. Speak a whole different language that they didn't know before. What if hitting their head just helped them to remember the language they knew before they came here? Like the language that they used to know in a past lifetime when they were here. That's something that they learned. Because how else would they know how to speak a language that they never knew before? It just sparked a memory of the person that they were before. And it just happened earlier before the spiritual awakening. And the thing is, you might always be a little bit into what your purpose is. Like I've always been into like knowledge. I always want to know some stuff. But I had no idea I was going to be teaching anything, but I was guided this way. I was always into philosophy and, stuff like that. Didn't go to school for it. I didn't even go to school for it, but I was into it. I would still read books and listen to different stuff. And that was just because chances are I probably was studying that in a past lifetime. And that's just a little bit that was coming through in this lifetime. Because now I feel fulfilled doing what I'm doing now. For the longest, it was always like, I know I should be doing something. I knew I should be doing something. And we all know we should be doing something. But we just don't know what it is. But once you find it, that's just you beginning to remember who you were. But I'm going to end this right here. Until next time.